Hi everybody and welcome to That's Football. Arsenal have just been outclassed by Brighton. 3-0 win at the Emirates for Brighton. Arsenal's title dream is over. There is a soap in London called EastEnders, but there's one up north called Coronation Street, and this one should be named Domination Street. That was absolutely deserved by Brighton. I think Arsenal just have to take it on the chin. We'll talk about their title hopes. Obviously, they're gone. We'll talk about what happens next season. I absolutely do not agree that Arsenal have bottled it, by the way, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I do not think they've bottled it. I think it's lazy. I understand why fans do it, but I don't know why educated pundits would call them bottle jobs, and I'll tell you for why in a minute. But I want to start off by giving Brighton some massive credit. I think Brighton have been robbed this season. Robbed of points by VAR wrongly. They should have at least another 6 points. And if they had those 6 points, they'd be pushing for top four and they'd be in the Champions League where they deserve to be. They are, with Man City, the best footballing side in the Premier League. And to go to Arsenal, the second best team in the league, who've been very good at the Emirates this season, and dominate them on possession, 60% possession after over 90 minutes against Arsenal from Brighton. They are a fantastic side and nobody does that. Nobody does that. They've done it to Spurs. They've done it to Manchester United. They've done it at Chelsea. They've done it today at the Emirates. They are an incredible football side. And I'm looking forward to Brighton playing Man City in a week or two. Because although Man City will have the league already won, Brighton will still be trying to get into Europe. So they'll go for it. And I think that's going to be a cracking game between the two best footballing sides in the league. Because Brighton, you can't underestimate how difficult it is and how well trained they are and how well organised they are and how much trust they have in each other to play like that. Arsenal could never. They couldn't live off the fact that they were in a title race. They couldn't live off the fact that they were the home team. Brighton just passed them off the park. Absolutely incredible. Thoroughly deserved 3-0. And 3-0 away from home, that's an annihilation for someone. That's a humbling for Arsenal. So I just wanted to start off with Brighton because they do get credit and they deserve massive credit. And let's see what they can go and do now. Newcastle on Thursday night. This European race is looking good. Can't wait for that. On to Arsenal. They've got to just look at it and go, look, what are they? I think they're 15 points ahead of Man United and Newcastle. That's a lot of points. They're not going to hit 90 now. If they win their last two, they can get up to 87. I agree that they might not get a chance like this to win the title for a while because next season Man City will still be there. Man United could get taken over. Newcastle will still be there. Chelsea and Liverpool could improve. So for Arsenal, it can only get harder. They've got to lick their wounds and assess and go again and improve. And look, the reason they're not going to win the league is not because they were 8 points clear at one time and they bottled it. Manchester City, if they win their last 3 games, get 94 points. How can you say Arsenal have bottled it when to win it, you've got to get 95 points? I mean, 95, hardly anybody in the history of Premier League has got 95 points. So how can Arsenal, who didn't get top 4 last year, be expected to get 95 points and then when they don't, be called bottle jobs? You can see where they've dropped points, you can. But ultimately, they're just not good enough to get 95 points. And that's what you've got to do to beat Man City. Everybody knows this. We say it at the start of every year. If you want to beat Man City, you've got to go 95 points. And that was always going to be Arsenal's problem. Look at Man City today. De Bruyne is on the bench. Grealish is on the bench. John Stones is on the bench. Bernardo Silva's on the bench. They all start for Arsenal. They all walk into the Arsenal side. All on the bench, being rested in a game they need to win, away from home, against a team desperate to win, sandwiched in between 2 legs against Real Madrid. That level of depth, experience and quality, Arsenal don't have it. Liverpool don't have it. Newcastle don't have it. Man United don't have it. They're a juggernaut, Man City, and I think Arsenal deserve credit for making this title race go to the middle of May. I think they do need credit for that. They will be called bottlers, and their fans are going to feel devastated. And, it's open season. That's how football works. I ain't got a problem with Spurs fans, anybody, having a pop at Arsenal and calling them bottlers because their title dream has popped. But in the grandest of in time, I think they've got to look at that and say, where did that season come from? Can we replicate it, or is it a flash in the pan? Because there's a few people that have said Arsenal are a bit like Leicester. This it sort of opened itself up a little bit. A lot of teams have underperformed. Arsenal have overperformed. Can they do it next year? And that's where Arsenal have to win the plaudits. They've got to go again next year. Have they got the money to do that? Can they invest correctly to do that? And will they be able to compete next year? But I want to go back to this game. That you can talk about it's been a good season. You can talk about they had their chances. You can talk about Man City were just too strong. But that today, Brighton came to the Emirates and were better than you. Now, that's not unusual. Brighton have done that to a lot of people. But Brighton were better than Arsenal today. Across 90 minutes, they were the better team at the Emirates when Arsenal shouldn't, if they want to be the best, that shouldn't be happening. And I think that's the problem with that result. There's no line that's not been drawn properly. There's no real dodgy goal. I mean, look, I think the first goal's a little bit either way, but you can't deprive Brighton of the win. And that'll be a hard one for Arteta and his players and the fans to sort of get their head around in a game where they went away to Newcastle and fought for the win last week. Brighton at home, Brighton are a good team, but you'd expect the season Arsenal have had to keep that going and win, and they just never looked like they could get into the game. It was Brighton who were controlling the possession. It was Brighton who were getting the better chances, and that is a humbling for Arsenal. They've got to take that and look at it and go, there's still a lot of improvement here, but. Champions League football, pushing a title race till May. Yeah, you're going to get bantered, but ultimately, in the fullness of time, I think it's been a good season for them. The people I feel sorry for is Brighton. I think they've been robbed of top four, really, from the points that VAR has taken away from them, and we all know those incidents. But in relation to the Premier League itself, Manchester City are going to post north of 90 points, and they'll do it next year, and they did it last year, and they're going to keep doing it. So who is going to challenge Manchester City realistically when everyone else is fighting to be the second best at the moment? Arsenal are the second best this year. Last year, was it Liverpool? It was. Who will be second best next year? Because I don't see anybody breaking this dominance of Manchester City. They are so experienced. They are so used to it. They can start the season in third gear, knowing that towards the end of the season, they'll be in the groove. He manages that squad so well. He adds one or two players each summer. They're the dominant force of English football. It's 3 in a row, and I don't see anybody laying a glove on them. They're just so experienced. They're just so good. And to compete with them, he's also got the resources. He's got the infrastructure. He's got the players. Massive achievement for Manchester City. I still think it's a good season for Arsenal. I get the disappointment, but that title dream is over. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Get your comments in below.